So I'm gonna start the meeting since it's 5 after. So welcome to the Commission on Disability meeting for September 7th, 2021. Let's see. Is that something, Jeff, like you wanna talk about right away?
Sure. Let me, yeah, I can talk about that. So we've applied 4 years in a row for the Municipal ADA Improvement Grant through the Office of Disability. And we've been unsuccessful every time, and I was encouraged by MOD to apply again. Mm-hmm. And so I don't have everything I need ready yet. Jamie's also helping with this application, but what I wanted to talk about was that the commission kind of approves the submission of a letter of support. The past couple of years it's been done, and Angelique, I think you did it last year, and then the previous chairperson did it a couple of years before that. But it's just that the Commission on Disability strongly supports the city's application for this. And we're applying for a planning grant, which allows us to update what's called a transition plan and then a self-evaluation plan. And it looks at city facilities. It identifies needs and then prioritizes projects so that we can start to apply. Once we're done with the planning grant, we can start to apply for money to actually make changes on those places that have been identified. I was optimistic last year when we applied, but I'm also optimistic this year that we will get this grant at some point. And their previous discussion with us was that they had so many applications, and they had to. The first year they said that they spread them out geographically across the state, and then last year they said that they focused on communities that have never had any transition plan or self-evaluation plan done, and that this year, ours was originally created in 1993. It was kind of briefly updated in 2009, but it was not a full update. And so we want to make this application again. So I don't have the draft letter, but I wanted the commission to kind of know that we wanted to do this and then kind of authorize Angelique to sign as the chair. So I'm happy to answer questions, but I just wanted to kind of make that request.
So I don't think we have a quorum. So I don't know. Does that hurt things?
I don't think it does. I mean, I just wanted to make sure that the committee knew that we were going to draft a letter and then Angelique would sign it. And the issue is that the timeline would be that the application's due before your next meeting. So I just wanted to make sure we had at least, because I think Angelique could just sign the letter anyway. But I just wanted to run it by the commission. So Eli, I just wanted you to know and others to know that we're going to, it's all to benefit us doing this research that we've been trying to do for 4 years.
Sure.
And you guys have approved it in the past.
Yeah, the letter. Yeah.
Is it okay if I wait in a moment?
Angelique, are you okay if Chris speaks to this? I think Chris has some experience with this grant.
Yeah, we were successful getting 2 years. I think we've gotten it 3 times in Northampton. If it would be helpful for me to just look over your application, I'd be happy to. I used to work at the Mass Office on Disability. Who is running the program now?
There's a gentleman named Carl who I don't have his last name handy, and then Jeff Dugan. I think Jeff Dugan oversees the program, and then there's another person below him that administers the grant.
Yeah, I know Jeff Dugan. He's been there a long, long time. There might be a couple of, a sentence here, a sentence there. I could suggest also, because I've done so much ADA work, sometimes, a turn of just a small bit of the description might make some difference.
Okay.
I'd be happy to.
Yeah, I'm very open to that. And I mean, we're gonna reach out to our state representative and our senator, and they're going to write letters too to really kind of encourage that Easthampton really has been wanting to do this for a couple of years now, and we really need to do it. So they kind of suggested that would potentially be helpful.
And have you already adopted a general non-discrimination statement? There were a couple of baseline policies that they were looking for, they're broad foundational ADA policies.
We had the ADA. I have, because I have the file up here. We have a grievance process or form, and then the non-discrimination, and then there was something else that had to be posted online, and we met those minimum criteria. So
Okay.
We have to put a timeout on this because I think, is this Michael Slater on the iPhone?
yep, I'm done. I just wanted to make sure that the committee knew. So Angelique, in like a week or two, I'll reach out to you, or Amy will send you the letter.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good. All right, Mr. Slater, and take it away.
All right, sorry for the delay. I'm trying to keep a vet from getting evicted here in Easthampton. So my name is Mike Slater. I'm the Veteran Service Officer for South Hadley and Easthampton. Ms. Angelique asked me to come and just let you guys know what I do and how I can help. So Veteran Services administers the Chapter 115 program for the state, which is a financial support / medical reimbursement program for veterans in need or surviving spouses. That's our main focus. We can provide durable medical equipment to those who are eligible for the program, copay reimbursements, fuel support. We can provide a lot of support to veterans who meet the criteria to be in the program. Our office also does VA claims. We assist with those and getting everybody's stuff processed and sent off to where it needs to be. Other than that, we're really just a gateway to a lot of programs and entities out there that support veterans, and just kind of like a staging ground to get people connected to those services. So if anybody has any questions for me, that's really just the blurb on what we do.
What percentage would you say of veterans are disabled that you service?
Probably realistically between 50 to 75% of the veterans that I service have a disability of some sort. And that's what leads them to be in the lower income brackets. One beneficial side of our program is that we can come in and provide financial support while a veteran who's disabled goes through the Social Security application process or the VA disability process, so that they're not, stepping into poverty. I mean, we're not making anyone rich, but we're keeping people from being homeless or living in absolute poverty and still being able to provide medical care, or take care of their families. So yeah, I would say 50 to 75% have a disability of some sort.
We were just working on a survey. Like, do you think if I sent it to you, like, would you be able to send it to your veterans that get services from you?
I can give it out distribution, but only like 3 in just Easthampton alone. Only like 3 have email accounts that are registered with our office.
Okay.
So I could mail them out. I could give them out at the check distribution.
Okay.
Our office or where I have taken the office is I do everything by appointment. Now we were trying to spin up some office hours, the spike in COVID. We're getting away from that. And so really trying to remove all barriers to access of the program. So if someone's housebound or they don't have transportation, I will go to them. I'm completely set up to work remotely, and really just trying to make it as possible to everyone who can benefit from the program.
The Chapter 115, can you explain exactly what that is?
So Chapter 115 is a program for, by definition, for indigent. There we go.
Indigent.
Tough word. Financial support program. So you have to be under 200% of the federal poverty level to qualify. for any kind of financial or other programs. But if you're above that, you can qualify for what they call medical only, or even if you're above that bracket, there's a medical only with a spend down. So Chapter 115 can provide what we call an ordinary benefit, which is a cash payment every month, which is determined by what you make, or what you call a dollar for dollar program. So once you're qualified, if your pay goes down, your benefit goes up. If your pay goes up, your benefit goes down. So it's always leveling itself. But we provide, so the ordinary benefit was just a cash payment. We provide up to $306 a month for fuel or whatever power source runs your heat for your house. So whether that be electric, gas, $306 a month right now for that. We do medication copay reimbursement. We do doctor copay reimbursements. We do dental care through a prior approval system for anyone who's on the program. We do durable medical equipment, which there's really no limit to what we could help people get. And then we do reimbursements for Medicare Part B, the fee that most clients pay for that, the $148.50 a month. We reimburse that. We also help with Mass Health buy-in applications, which is where the state would come in and pay that $148.50, and it would just show back up in their Social Security, Medigap programs, different Medicare supplemental system. So we basically just reimburse all of those copays. So once we get someone into the program, if they don't have those things, if they don't have a Medigap plan or a prescription assistance plan, then we work with them to get that, because it's not going to cost them anything, because we're going to pay them that money to pay that bill. And it just gives them a better access to healthcare that, there can be a real barrier to get in and get treated depending on what kind of insurance that you have. So.
Could I ask on durable medical? That's often a delay game. Have you had connection? There's a recycling program in the state that's doing power chairs, some manuals, but particularly power chairs, which can be a real long delay to get through the system. I don't know, what are you running into in terms of the problems with delays at this point?
So for me, the delays are more on the side of the medical necessity for things. So if someone comes in and sees me and they say, "Oh, I have a hard time walking, I need a durable or a power chair or a wheelchair," first I try to connect them to the VA, because that's the fast route. It's easy to get things if they're in the VA system. If they're not in the VA system, it's the medical necessity side of it. Getting a doctor to say, this is medically necessary, and that's all we need. Like, once we have a letter of medical necessity and you're in the Chapter 115 program, I mean, we can get some pretty crazy things that people can't normally get. The only caveat is if a client goes out and pays their own bill, I can only give them what the Mass Health rate would reimburse, because that's what we pay everything at for the state. We pay at the Mass Health rate. So like dental work, if you go and get a root canal, I had a client do that, $1,800. Well, the state would only pay the dentist $600 and some change. So that's all I could give her back. Trying to make them understand that you can't just run out and get what you want. Like, you have to work the process. But I think that we're doing a good job here in Easthampton of making sure people understand and helping work with them to get through that process.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Brown, is that you? Sorry, Michael.
No, that's all right.
Okay. I just have to make sure who's on here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, so how would people get a hold of you?
So I have an email in both South Hadley and Easthampton, and then both of my office phones, because we're striving to be extremely accessible and always moving to meet with clients. Both of my office phones forward to my town provided cell phone. So I can, let me see if I can figure this out. I can put my email and my cell number in the chat, if that's preferable for you guys.
Sure. And I also put the link to the survey in the chat.
Yeah, I see it. I'm gonna download it here in a second. So there's my cell number and my email. Like I said, it's by appointment. To increase accessibility, we will do evening appointments if someone's working and they just need access to like VA form completion and things like that. We are open to weekend appointments. And that's the benefit of everything being by appointment, is that I have extreme flexibility in how I can move around the hours that I work to meet everybody's needs in different situations. So the goal is really just to maximize accessibility to these programs, whether it be VA or state benefits.
While I have you here, is there anything that you've heard? A lot of their veterans come in and say that they're having trouble with in Easthampton in terms of accessibility.
Now that the town hall or the city hall is opened back up, not really. For a while, it was like, I can't get a hold of that office, or, you know, I call and no. So just that frustration of not being able to walk in. And, you know, I understand every department was jumping through hoops to stay functioning throughout the pandemic, including my own. So not really, not that I've known. Easthampton's a very, I find from my dealing with the veterans, a very veteran friendly community, my understanding of it. The mayor's been extremely supportive for staff of any kind of program that we want to try to kick off and get. So yeah, nothing other than that, the initial accessibility.
Does anybody have any questions for him? Nope.
I just want to say thanks for the important work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
Northampton, we have a lot of homeless veterans.
yeah. And Steve Connor up in Northampton,
Yeah.
he talked working, and what that office is doing up there is something that I really want to mirror down here in Easthampton. We're looking at a couple of larger scale projects. We're trying to look at different housing initiatives for veterans, not necessarily single room occupancy. There's a couple of those here already, but more on the veteran with a family side, so larger apartment, a larger, kind of deal. So those things are in the works. I'll actually be trying to reach out to Mr. Bagg here soon enough, as I'm collecting the information from the state level to help fund those projects. So.
Yeah, Michael, I just want to say thank you for your work. It's great. And I think just this morning I learned that you moved your office. So now you are going to be in the senior center, right, on Union Street.
Wow.
So we moved into the senior center because that's a demographic where, they're walking in. But with spike of COVID and a lot of seniors still aren't fully back into going. So we're going to still going to use it if I space in Easthampton to meet with a client and to do check distribution. But for the most part, everything will be either we set an appointment be at the senior center or one of the conference rooms in City Hall or at their residence or anywhere. I mean, I've met veterans at breakfast restaurants to do their VA claims. I'm literally open to meeting them wherever they're comfortable and whatever makes it easiest for them, wherever that be. doesn't matter.
Thank you for coming. I've been
No
wanting you to come for a long time.
Yeah, and if there's ever anything that I can do, if you guys in your work come across a veteran that needs help, please reach out to me and let me know. Make that connection, and we'll do whatever we can for out here that need help.
I mean, these guys don't know, but this program here in Northampton kept me afloat for the entire time I've been a single mother. So without them, I would have been in serious trouble. So
Yeah.
very grateful.
Right.
That's all we want to do. All we want to do is help people. That's it. We're not looking to sign anybody up for anything they don't want. We just want to help and keep people moving forward. All that we're here for.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Bye.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right. Take care.
Bye. So Jeff, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, before we move on, can we establish who is here?
I was just gonna do that. You read
Oh.
my mind.
Sorry.
No, not sorry. We're on the same wavelength. I was just gonna check in back there. Bryce? Hi. Haven't seen you in a long time.
Me neither.
Is Bobby behind you?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good.
And who is this guy in front of the camera? Jeff Brown is here.
Bless you. My goodness.
Yeah, we made it.
Thank you for making it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also,
I got too much sneeze. Oh, hi, my friend. Hope you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Eli. He's allergic to work.
Right.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
I did that, yeah.
All right.
and also, Chris, I don't think we've met. Are you a new member of the committee?
No.
No.
I'm a visitor from
Visitor.
from
Okay.
over the line, over the Northampton line.
Gotcha.
The
He's
next
going
door
to
next-
talk to us about the accessibility at the big red picture frame thing I talked about 1 month.
Oh, okay, great. Well, thank you for coming.
Thanks.
You got everybody, Eli? All right. Take it away, Chris.
Okay, well, I would love to have dual residency. I'm just over the Easthampton line into Northampton on Park Hill. But the Park Hill orchard is in our neighborhood. It's about a half a mile here from our home. And we've seen that place develop over the last 10, 12 years. Right now it's opening, as you may know, there's a sculpture show in the orchard every second year. So a new show opened about 10, 12 days ago. One of the features of the orchard is the large red frame. It's very, how many of you have seen the orchard at some point? Is anyone not? I'll know what I'm making reference to. Well, at any rate, the big red frame is at the very high point of the slope of Park Hill Orchard. It's been there for quite some time. It was rebuilt just the past couple of weeks. Some of the wood was deteriorated. When Jean-Pierre, who runs the frame shop in the arts building in the center of the city, when he looked for the funds to redo the frame, a surplus was donated. I don't know, an extra about $1,000 or a little more beyond what he needed. He said he wanted to use that to improve accessibility. So we've been trying to figure out what the best way is to provide an accessible route from parking up to the big red frame. that is only one of the things that's going forward. The folks at the Orchard, Elaine and Russell, have tried to improve accessibility every year, which is what the ADA calls for under Title III, readily achievable barrier removal, basically looking at your budget each year and trying to do things incrementally. So there are a couple of steps that are going forward. Sometime after September 20th, they are going to have some kind of a cart. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't had a chance to ride in it, but there is going to be a cart with tie downs, and they want to work out a schedule so folks who would have difficulty walking the site would be able to do probably somewhere between an hour and a half to 2 hour tour of the sculpture around the site. So with a number of things moving forward, Russell and Elaine would like to, at some point, perhaps in the next month or so, around that time frame, invite as many of you as possible to come up to the Orchard and visit, to get your comments and ideas on what works, what would need to be addressed to take the next best step in improving accessibility. And I'm a volunteer with them. They're just good friends, and my wife and I volunteer as greeters for the sculpture show. And we're seeing a really high number of people with disabilities coming onto the site. We're seeing folks with wheelchairs, walkers, occasional scooter, but lots of folks walking with canes or otherwise. So it would be very helpful for the commission to come up and take a look and give its best ideas. And then for any of you who would like to, as that cart becomes available, and see if it would work for you, potentially to do a tour of the sculpture show. So that's the basics.
That's great. Bobby's been there too? I couldn't see. Had he been there before?
Yeah,
I don't, have you, Bobby? You sure?
yeah, I do.
Really? Right in the Orchard now? Okay.
Right.
I guess now that you're talking to us, I have a question on how
Yeah.
people would transfer onto the cart.
I haven't seen the cart yet. And
We can't hear you.
Yeah, you're cutting out a little bit.
Chris, when you moved your laptop, you covered your microphone.
sorry.
Would you start over? Because I think start over because we didn't hear that.
Okay, so I'm in a big power chair. I'm very interested. I have not seen the cart. We are, as soon as that cart is delivered, I'm going to take a look at it. We're going to cruise around the site and get a sense of what we have. I don't know what it looks like yet.
Yeah. It sounds like you really understand then the logistical question I have. The times I've tried to go there with people in manual chairs even, it's just not, that's hard. A lot of the exhibits are hard to traverse, so we just don't. But yeah, I mean, transferring from the power chair to the cart is important, and also figuring out maybe some safety, some straps or just seat belts, chest straps, stuff like that. So people the more people who, I know it's not always going to be a perfect system, I know, but the more people who can enjoy it, the better.
Well, that's why we want to have you all come down and have your ideas on it. These are
cutting out again.
We're going to try to adapt things.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Chris, sorry, I think you covered up the microphone again.
Where the heck is the mic?
Wherever your finger is.
Dang it. Yeah, my wife is doing yoga, so I'm not at my computer.
You're doing good. It's just I can see your hand, and whenever your hand goes over that spot, it's covering the mic.
Is it good now?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So the basics are, that's why we want y'all to come, because, I can give them what works for me, being in a big power chair, someone who's in a manual chair, or other transfer issues. They are open to learning. They're very open people. They're farmers scratching out, making this orchard work, but it's also become an important dimension of the arts community in Easthampton. And of course, Easthampton is so exciting because their arts community is absolutely exploding. And the sculpture show is a part of it.
I had a question and then a quick comment too. I will speak for myself and say like I'm not an expert in this, but when Chris first reached out, one of the questions I had was, does Park Hill, because they're kind of they're volunteering to bring this up in accessibility, whether they have to formally comply with all the requirements of ADA, or is it the things like you described, Chris, as they're achievable? Because the one thing that I would wonder about is where would someone be dropped off if they came in a van, for example? And just because I know, like, we're building an accessible trail on East Street, and what we had to do is we had to prepare the accessible parking area, and then that's the place where you would unload into an aisle. It's going to be paved, and then you would be able to traverse up. So that was my first question, and then my second question was for Jeff Brown. Because with Riverside Industries being kind of a key stakeholder in Easthampton for people with disabilities and getting them out and doing things in our world, I would wonder if we could potentially try to get anyone from Riverside to come up there too, because they would be one of the likely people to, they would be able to bring people up there, and to have their input at this stage might make some sense too. So those are my two kind of questions.
Yeah, that would be great. Now, on the question of ADA, what ADA requires under Title III, which is what applies to, places of public accommodation, places that provide good service or activities open to the public, is called readily achievable barrier removal. And essentially, it's, what you can do within your budget each year. Now, as you do an element, then you are involved with the access code, and it's always a question of where to. Oh, let me get my hand out of the way. Hope I'm not blocking.
Oh, you're good.
But how to invest your resources where you're going to get the best effect for what you do. Okay. So my wife Judy and I immediately had an instinct that we wanted this to be integrated with the whole of the orchard, so that an uphill path or route to the from parking, which would have to be laid out, I think, in a little more detail than it is now. And exactly those kind of questions are the ones that would be good for you to present to the folks at the orchard.
I think that's great. I just wanted to make sure that was the thought process, and it surely is. So that I think that's good. That's great.
Yeah, I want to encourage them and support them, and be sure that what they do, fits the most the interest and needs of as many local folks as possible.
I think that's great. And then Jeff Brown, maybe I missed a beat, but are you back at Riverside?
Yeah, as of early last month, I am back at Riverside. So yeah. So yeah, no, you didn't miss a beat. This is the beat is just happening.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's great, Jeff. I hope that's a positive thing for you. It sounds positive.
It is.
Maybe you can help us, and maybe through the commission, maybe that's, and Angelique, maybe over the next, because Chris, when did you say you were hoping to get people out there?
I'm going to ask Russell to contact Angelique about actually setting a date. Russell and Elaine are the owners of the orchard. Now, Russell is the guy who's 6'7", 6'8". He's always easy to spot if you're up there. And Elaine is she's the force that's running the place.
Jeff Bag, just to be clear, like if a bunch of us go, does that mean that that's a subcommittee and I have to agenda and all those rules?
It might be good. I think it can depend on how many people are going to go. If you get a quorum of your members that are there, it's all you have to do is post it with Barbara 2 days beforehand.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say that's the most critical thing, but it could happen.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Anybody have any questions for Chris?
No.
Angela,
Yeah.
When Russ and Elaine reach out to you, could you forward the email address? I don't know, Jeff, if you want to, if you're recommending a specific Riverside contingency, I don't know that I'll be part of that contingency, but I'll throw it out there that maybe someone would like to take a look as well. Just it would be great if I had some contact info to forward. If the owners are interested in Riverside having its own separate little look at it, All right.
Sounds good. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for coming, Chris. You can stay or you can go, and totally up to you, but I'm really glad that you could come.
I'm just tired of holding my iPad, but it's good to see your commission functioning. I did the Northampton Commission for years, and I'm thinking as we get a little further from the pandemic, I will probably go back in and do that again.
Nice. Awesome. So I didn't know you were holding your iPad the whole time. Sorry.
Yeah. One other thing I think to be mindful of, I heard you're doing survey. Well, when this infrastructure bill is passed that they're talking about in Washington, then monies are going to start moving. We don't know specifically in what ways, but we certainly know that there's probably going to be an increase in relation to pedestrian ways and bridges and lots of areas of infrastructure. It will be some real opportunities to move access forward. Probably it's going to start moving very fast.
Okay.
We wait for years, and then all of a sudden there will be a huge burst of work, at which time there will be lots more discussion of the ADA.
Okay.
Okay? So
Thank
y'all
you.
take care.
Bye. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Chris.
Be well.
You too. So Jeff Bags, hope I didn't sound like a jerk earlier. You're like, I gotta leave at 11. And I'm like, yep, that's not what I meant. I meant, okay.
No, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's okay.
But within that, because I have put on the agenda that the MVPAG thing, weren't you just in the paper for?
The MVP, yeah, MVP, yep. It's a project on Cherry Street. Is that what you're talking about? The funds will allow us to do new sidewalks on Cherry Street, and then do it's called green infrastructure. It's just a way to capture rainfall when it hits the street, and then it goes down, like it all empties into a stream at the end. And so it's just to help that system function better.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we mentioned it at least because sidewalks have a lot to do with our conversations.
And that project is good because it's going to be all new sidewalks, so they will be designed, especially sections that have the ADA ramps and the tactile strips and all that stuff. I think that project should be integrated into.
And the CDBG is what you were talking about earlier, right?
Yep. The other one is the Mass Office of Disability Grant, the planning grant. So that's like what Chris just said, is that there will be money available someday. And if we can do this planning study, we'll have a list of projects. And once we have the list of projects, then we can for funding to problems.
Okay.
So that's really important.
So why Cherry Street? I'm looking at it on the map and it doesn't seem like a particularly important spot.
Well, it's important for water, and so at the end of Cherry Street is all the water flows down Cherry Street and dumps into a stream, and it goes through pipes. And at the end of the street, the pipe is falling apart. The stream is eroding away. So the MVP funding is for this to fix problems like that. And then we get to do it up the whole street. So we're basically trying to slow the water. The other part that's important for Cherry Street, I'll just throw this in, is that at the same time when we're digging up the street to fix that stuff, we're going to replace the sewer lines, which were identified in another DPW plan. That they're basically the worst sewer pipes in the whole city. So, every winter the DPW gets a couple calls of sewage going into people's basements and things. So because the sewer pipes were failing and then that outfall thing at the end was failing, it became kind of the top priority to kind of put those two funding sources together. So yeah, I agree, Eli. It doesn't look like very much on itself, like on a map, but the sewer was in rough shape and then the water going at the end was causing big problems. So that's kind of why it became a focus for that funding.
Gotcha.
Wow, I had no idea that all that was going on. Holy moly. Okay. Do you guys have any questions about that? Is that Bobby has a question or he's just saying hi?
Bobby has a question.
We did live
What? Where does Beth live?
back out there.
The person that was talking?
Yeah,
Where does what part of Easthampton does he live in?
yeah.
Are you asking the sewage? I think he wants to hear where the sewage was, where the sewage pipes were like overflowing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
In general, Jeff, is he asking?
yeah, in general, where the area you were talking about, the sewage was going everywhere. I think that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how basic to get, but most houses in Easthampton are connected to the sewer system. So when you flush the toilet, it goes down and it goes in the pipes underground, and they all go to the sewage treatment plant, which is out on Berry Street.
Yeah.
But in this one neighborhood, there was a problem, and it would back up into people's basements.
And that's Cherry Street?
That's Cherry Street. So it's off of 141 if you're going towards Holyoke.
Okay, so you're kind of near the mountain.
Interesting.
Okay,
Interesting.
thanks.
Thank
Yeah.
you, my friend.
And also he would like to know where you live. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's okay. I live near Nonotuck Park. I do live in town.
Bobby lives on Chapman near Shelburne Mills.
Oh, great, yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.
That must be a pleasant surprise to find sewer water in your basement.
Yeah, not a fun surprise at all, I don't think.
Quite the surprise.
You live right near me, right?
All right. So the last thing on our agenda really is like the group of stuff that has to do with the survey. Can you bring that up real quick? Yeah.
Yep, I'm happy to. And then just a reminder that I actually have to start a meeting, so I'm going to leave at like 2 minutes to 11. But I have it queued up here. So Jamie's really been doing more of the survey work, more knowledgeable about it. But before we started, I was looking through it. And so this is, there's a summary for each question. I don't know, Angelique, I'm not prepared to go through it one by one.
Oh, no. I didn't want you to do that.
Okay. When you go into the link that was in that other email, it's pretty good setup, because if you look at question 2, it's, what accessibility related challenges do you face on a day-to-day? And you can see that there's 39 responses, which is actually pretty good. And then there's on the right, this latest responses, and you can hover over it with your mouse, and it says it kind of shows the full statement. And then it kind of goes through. So it must show you the last 3 responses here. So I think a question for you all and for Jamie is, how do you access all of the responses here? But the ones that have data, you can see in a pie chart breaking down the number of people who respond in certain ways. So the data, it's pretty good format, and it's pretty easy to read.
Yeah, me and Kelsey we're looking through that last month. So yeah, it's pretty convenient.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll take a lot of time to figure out what it all means and what areas of focus come out of this. And that's something that we talked about as a group, that'll be a task by itself. But how long is it open? Do you remember how long it's open for?
October 15th.
It's still open for like another month. All right.
Yeah, I only had you bring this up to just like show people that we have this, if they want to, the members of the group want to take a look at it, or Eli and I are still handing out flyers or posting flyers, and trying to figure out creative ways to get it out still.
Right.
So definitely didn't want you to go through everything in the group. But oh yes, so we still have to figure out, like you said earlier, like it's a lot of information. So what exactly, how are we going to go through it, and what are we going to do with it? Besides, we have to turn a lot of it into like the 1, 3, 5 year plan we were talking about. See if we can do anything about that.
I know one thing that we kind of should do in the next couple weeks is, because Jamie's going to help prepare that grant application. And I think what would be useful is to look through the survey for barriers. If there was a couple of questions that people talked about, what are barriers? That might be helpful for us to put into the grant narrative.
Okay.
And I think it's kind of a natural, this is naturally what we would do, is we would say that the commission started a survey and we're collecting the data, and it begins to show that, X number of people have identified these issues, especially with city facilities. Then we want to put that into the narrative and say, this planning grant will help us identify those issues and start to work towards solutions. So I think kind of pulling out of the survey the ones that relate to the grant, that's one thing that we can do several weeks. But beyond that, I don't know. I think it's a big conversation for the group to have about what to do with the other information you're collecting.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should be like make a presentation to the city council once we get all the data and we can see what comes out.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I don't know when that would be, but I think at that point you'd be able to say that the commission has applied for the grant as well, and then you have these survey results coming in. Yeah, I think that would make sense. So that would help raise the awareness of it.
And the survey, we're not paying for the survey, right? Like monthly or anything for it to be on anything, right? So can we just keep it on the website if people want to fill it out afterwards? But then it's not included in the big presentation of information.
Yeah, I think that would be confusing if we did that,
Okay.
because people like, yeah. Yeah,
I
'cause
don't,
then people-
I only saw that there was 45 responses, and it makes me kind of sad because there's thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah, that does seem low, but in all honesty, that's pretty good. If you can get like 50, that it doesn't sound like a lot, but it actually is. We mailed. This is just a quick, and I do have to pay attention to the time, but we mailed a postcard to 9,000 households for the open space plan. And we got 300 responses, and we mailed it to everyone's house. That we take a survey, and we only got 350. So for the outreach that you guys have done, it's pretty good, and it should be informative.
Yeah, and we just started like really promoting it, like this weekend. So yeah.
All right. Well, have fun in your next meeting, Jeff.
All right, great. Thank you all.
Thanks, Jeff.
See you next month for
Thanks
sure.
being
Thank you.
here. Bye for now. Jeff Brown, hi. Anything they want to talk about, or they want to say, because they haven't been here for a while, or no?
Yeah, anything, what's new in your, anything you bring up?
They're making condos right near my house that's supposed to be done by next year.
Oh,
Yeah,
I've been watching the construction of it every day when I get up to get ready to go to Riverside. I've been watching it every day.
you live right across from Ferry Street, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
that corner. Rice gets to watch it from his window. That construction, I'm sure that's interesting and loud.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keeping everybody in line. That's not ADA compliant.
Yeah. Yeah,
I know, right?
yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I give you guys some space. If you had any questions or anything.
I don't know which right today.
We'll talk about, I'll explain. Bryce lives across the street from the Legion, kind of.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that was the reason that caught on fire over the
Did it?
summer. Yeah, it was weird. We actually saw it
Yeah,
catch on fire.
yeah.
And then one of our other friends, Lindsay, her mom used to be my teacher in elementary school.
Oh, wow.
And she brings her daughter to work sometimes when she doesn't have preschool.
Wow.
So big, all her kids, one of her kids are in high school already.
Oh, they're all old? Jeff, you have anything you want to talk about?
Do you
Before
want to talk about the straws thing at all, or just a general?
I could for a second. I mean, Eli knows a little bit, but so Eli, remember
Yeah. I remember-
the letter that Jeff Brown wrote.
That's right. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So Counselor Zarrett just wanted to make sure that we were happy with the outcome. Make sure we felt like we were represented. See if we had, he talked to Jeff Brown privately a couple of times.
Yeah.
Because he was worried that we didn't feel represented or didn't, with the vote.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything you want to add?
I think, so when I talked to him, I think the language of the original statute already did have a fair amount of accessibility provisions in it. And from talking to him, he was just curious, and of course, when I wrote the general statement about concerns of the disabled community, it wasn't in response to a kind of draft of a bill, so I didn't know that. So he's just, so he talked to me and he wanted to make sure that, we were using accessible language in the statute and make sure that we had something that could limit plastic usage, while also being as disability friendly as possible. So I think he left it at, correct me if I'm wrong, Angelique, but there's been several drafts of it, and he ran another draft by city council and wants to present the draft at one of our meetings and bounce it off all of us for feedback. Is that?
So the straw ordinance was repealed, right? So we're talking about a possible, like a future straw ordinance.
Another second draft, he's hoping to pass a second draft of it. The major change from what I can tell is he's making sure that it's like people are going to be asked what kind of straw they want, like paper or plastic, or just like a paper, that kind of thing, as opposed to having to ask special behind the counter for something that, places may or may not have.
Mm-hmm.
Which I, instead of, I think it's, I think it's important that, that asking for an accommodation doesn't mean a bunch of staff digging for something behind somewhere, because the moment you have to wait like 20 minutes for them to find an accommodation, it stops being universal access and starts being a barrier. And that was the point I feel like that point was pretty much understood when we talked about it. And some of these, I think Councilor Zarrett has also reached out to some of the people that are writing that are writing some of the criticism from the disabled community. So I think, like a couple of the articles that I Googled, Councilor Zarrett was like, yeah, I just talked to that person. So it seems like he's doing his due diligence and he wants to show us a second draft. And that's it.
Right. And right. So we can't talk about too much because it's not on the agenda, but if that does come about, like, I'll let you guys know. We have to close up the meeting, but thank you guys. So the next meeting is October 5th.
All right, October 5th.
Next week?
No.
I wish it was next week, next month.
Next month? Oh,
Next
okay.
month.
Julie, I'll be 24 on the 8th.
Ooh. Wait, October 8th?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to remember that. All right.
Your birthday, huh?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, all right, bye
See you
guys.
guys later.
All right. Thank you.
No.
Bye.
Yeah. Have a good day, my friend.
You too, guys.